Welcome to Your Data Sounds Familiar, ang podcast kung saan pinag-uusapan natin ang data, AI, at lahat ng gulot ganda na kasama nila. Pero in a way na masarap, sa pandinig.
At ngayon, narito kayo sa episode 3, Hubad ang Katotohanan. What data visualization really say? Kami po ang GH na binubuo ng mga miyembro ng nangalang Wensya na,
Jamski,
Biansilat,
Jezilat, Shino,
Arata Lib,
LC,
Wendilat,
Kishong,
at Linlan. At kami, ang grupong mabaderas na mga
Vish walang hiya,
Vish walang filter
at Vish walang tapon sa ganda.
walang dancer, walang singer.
dahil lahat kami ay Visual! So, may tanong ako sa'yo, partner. Have you ever seen a graph online na parang napapaas ka na lang ng, tama ba to? Pero kasi maganda yung kulay, malinis yung lines, so believability ka na lang.
True lalo, partner. At isa yan sa pag-uusapan natin ngayon. Dahil bilang hubaderas, trabaho natin ang maghubad ng katotohanan sa likod ng visuals. Di man kami magaling sumayaw, pero magaling kaming magtanggal ng ng misleading elements in data.
In this episode, pag-uusapan natin kung paano ginagamit ang data visualization para maghayag ng impormasyon at minsan para mang-mislead.
We will uncover kung paano minsan nagiging mas convincing ang mali-maling graphics kaysa sa totoong data na pinagmulan nito.
We'll also talk about visual trumpery o yung mga visuals na so maganda pero kapag in-analyze mo, mas makapal pa sa concealer ng ex mo nagtatago ng red flags.
Siyempre, partner, may global case study, may Philippine example, at pati kung paano tayo madalas naloloko ng charts dahil sa kulang-kulang na konteksto, kulay, scale, at minsan sa creativity na sobra-sobra.
So bilang hubaderas, gusto naming ipakita na ang visualizations ay hindi lang dapat maganda sa paningin. Dapat sila ay totoo, malinaw, at may integridad.
At siyempre, dahil tayo ay visual ang filter, tayo nang bahala sa paghuhubad para sa kanila.
Alright, simulan na natin ang discussion.
Welcome to Hubad ang Katotohanan. Let's go, go, go!
So to start, partner, let's talk about why data visualizations are so effective and sometimes so dangerous.
Yes, partner. Siguro, let's start with this question. Why do visual work so well? Like, why do our brains love visuals? Are you also wondering this about, partner?
Yes naman, partner. And we have here Jezilat, Linlat, and Wendilat to discuss more about it.
So, my response to that is very simple. Our brains are lazy. Hindi tinatama din na bad way ha, but because of how our brain processes information. Mas mabilis tayo makakita ng patterns kaysa mag-compute ng numbers. So when we see a graph, automatic na agad yung interpretation. But, here's the danger. Once we see something, we rarely stop to question it. Exactly. Psychologically speaking, the visuals create what we call yung cognitive shortcuts. Pag may pataas na line, automatic, uy, tumataas. Pag pula ang kulay, pong pong pong, danger to. So, even before basahin ang labels, may conclusion na agad ang utak natin.
And that's why data visualization is powerful, but also risky. Because once a visual sticks in your head, mahirap na siyang i-unsee. Kahit i-correct mo pa later, yung unang visual ay nagsaset na ng anchor sa beliefs mo. Kaya, mas may cognitive effort at bias sa pag-intindi ng correction.
Actually, tama ka dyan, Wendilat. And with that, let's move on to the point where good designs start to cross the line.
Ngayon, mag-proceed naman tayo sa tinatawag nating aesthetic traps. So ano nga ba ito?
Aesthetic traps. Okay, so alam naman natin na may mga visualizations talaga na sobrang ganda. Perfect colors, smooth curves, at animated pa. Pero pag tinitingnan mo yung data behind it, hindi pala ganun informative. So this is what we call visual trumpery. Ang paggamit ng charts, graphs, or infographics para lilagyan ng viewer. Madalas siya showy, pero inaccurate na paraan. Mukhang impressive, diba? Pero kulang naman sa substance or worse, misleading.
Correct ka dyan, te. Visual trumpery is when design overpowers the truth. Example, yung mga 3D pie charts, mukhang cool, pero distorted ang proportions.
The slice in front looks bigger kahit pareho lang naman sila ng value. So, ang nanalo, editing design and not the data.
Pero wait lang, sadly mas madalas itong makita sa social media. Infographics na pang viral, pero walang source, walang context, walang explanation. Mas shareable, pero mas delikado.
Grabe, napakadelikado naman pala nito, no? Kaya naman, let's go on to our next segment, which is the common way data visual mislead us.
So simulan natin to by enumerating some classic tricks, intentional man o hindi.
Number 1, truncated axis. Hindi nagsisimula sa 0 ang y-axis, kaya mas mukhang malaki ang difference.
Number 2, missing context. Yung mga raw numbers na without population, time frame, or comparison. Parang sinabi mo lang, marami. Pero, compared to what?
Number 3 naman, misleading color choices, using alarming colors for neutral data, or calming colors for serious issues. Design choice pa lang, may bias na agad.
And number 4, overloading visuals. Too many colors, labels, annotations, so instead of clarity, confusion ang result. Remember, if everything is emphasized, nothing is emphasized.
Actually, sakto na kayo partner, no?
Bitaw, tiduod jud, tinuod kayo lang ipang ingon. Daghan kitag nakuha ato na realizations, ug naa pa tay mas makuha pa jud na realizations sa susunod na segment, which is answering the question of, what would you believe?
Let's test that idea with a quick thought experiment. Reveal mo nga yan sa amin, Linlat.
Okay, so how about this? Imagine a scenario na may makikita ka ng dalawang charts online tungkol sa employment. So yung chart A ay clean, minimal, at mas madaling basahin. May malinaw na downward trend. Mukhang impressive at simple, pero minsan, oversimplified lang yung data. At yung chart B naman ay medyo messy, maraming notes at medyo cluttered tingnan. Mas mahirap basahin agad, pero mas accurate siya. Ipinapakita niya yung buong picture at yung mga nuances na tinatago ng chart A. So Giselat, which one would you believe first?
Ewan ko lang pero most people choose chart A, not because it's more correct, but because it feels more convincing, which is actually dangerous.
And I agree with Jazela. That's why ethical visualization isn't optional. If clarity is sacrificed for aesthetics, truth becomes optional too.
Taray, totoo naman. So given all of this, what does ethical responsibility look like for us?
So, as a future data scientist, we are not just chart makers. We are truth translators. Our job is not to convince, but to clarify.
Tama, and we should always ask then, what might the audience misunderstand? What assumptions are we making for them? And lastly, who could be harmed by this visualization?
Ethical visualization means choosing honesty, even when it's less dramatic. Because trust, once lost, is very hard to recover.
Parang may hugot lagi yun Joke! Dadayo naman tayo sa ating next segment, strong transition to case studies.
So ngayon, partner, given that we've stripped down how visuals work, how they mislead, and why ethics matter, let's see what happens when these principles fail in the real world. Because this next case proves one thing. Even global media organizations can intentionally mislead millions with just one chart.
I agree partner, no? This segment is very insightful. Daghan kayong salamat sa inyo, Wendilat, Jezilat, ug Linlat. Kay pati ako nakasabot jud. Ug karon, let's pass the mic to Sinong for our global case study.
Okay, Hubaderas. So para sa global case study natin, pag-uusapan natin ang isang infamous blood graph in Florida. Alam niyo ba yun?
Huy, hindi! As in? Anong nangyari dun?
Sa ganito kasi yun. Yung nangyari is, this graph was published by Reuters. Isa siyang global news organization sa London at New York. Gumamit sila ng official data from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which tracks gun-related crimes in Florida. So ang goal ng visualization nila dito is ipakita ang gun-related deaths over time, lalo na sa panahon ng controversial Stand Your Ground law na napas noong 2005. So for context, ang Stand Your Ground law basically allows deadly force if a person feels threatened, kahit hindi nila sariling bahay. So, controversial ito kasi critics na mismo ang nagsasabi na pinapalala nito ang deadly confrontations. The problem is, yung graph is inverted ang vertical axis. So, yung 0 nasa taas, so habang tumataas ang number ng deaths, pababa yung line. So, sinasabi na it was inspired from the chart of Iraq war deaths na parang blood dripping ang design para dramatize daw yung loss. So pero sa Florida version kasi, hindi nagmukhang blood dripping since meron lang siyang parang red shaded region sa taas ng line graph, kaya maraming viewers ang na-confuse at na-interpret na bumaba ang deaths after 2005. Kasi at first glance, yun talaga yung makikita mo. Kahit ang totoo, hindi yun ang sinasabi ng data.
Ang scare bells naman yan. Ano naman ang ethical issue dyan?
So as the fact checker, gusto ko lang i-emphasize na ang problema dito hindi yung data mismo, kundi yung visual encoding. Maraming observers ang nag-comment na dahil inverted yung axis, mukhang parang malaking drop ang gun deaths after stand your ground law. Ito ay classic example ng visual trumpery. Hindi mali yung data, pero malinaw na misleading yung visual impression. Kulang din ang chart sa malinaw na indication na inverted yung axis. Walang proper annotations at walang context tulad ng population or rates para mas accurate ang interpretation.
Oh, I see. So, sino nga bang affected nito, LC?
Affected dito yung general public, lalo na yung may mababang numeracy or visual literacy. Mas pinagkatiwalaan nila yung shape ng graph kaysa sa maliit na labels o context. At dahil sensitive topic ang gun violence at policy, naapektuhan din nito ang public opinion, media narratives, at policy discussions.
Oh, okay. So, sa ganitong pangyayari, what governance or policy failed or succeed?
May existing law kasi na directly related sa guns at violence, yung Stand Your Ground Law, kaya sensitive at politically charged talaga yung graph. Hindi lang kasi ito tungkol sa numbers, naka-anchor siya sa isang policy na may real-world consequences at pinagtatalunan kung nakakatulong ba talaga ito sa pag-reduce ng gun violence. Sa visualization aside, parang di mo na siniguradong madaling maintindihan yung chart at ethical yung design para sa general audience. According din naman sa creator, ang intention niya ay ipakita ang deaths in a negative way, in a way na parang dripping blood daw, hindi para mag-manipulate o magpasa ng maling mensahe. Pero yun nga, hindi ganun ang naging result. Pero dito papasok yung mahalagang lesson, kahit legit ang data at genuine ang intention, pwede pa rin ma-mislead ang public kapag hindi maingat ang visual design. Visuals have power. Hindi lang sila nagre-report ng information, hinuhubog nila kung paano iniintindi o ini-interpret ng audience ang data. Kaya bilang future data scientist, awareness sa visual conventions at sa context ng data, hindi lang kung paano natin gustong basahin nila ang visualizations is really important.
I agree, Shinongs. Pero, kung ipapalagay natin ito sa konteksto sa Pilipinas, ano kaya ang magiging resulta?
Okay, so for our local case study, I want to talk about something that probably affected like almost everyone in the Philippines. PhilHealth. Even if you personally don't use it much, your parents probably do, your grandparents do, or you at least have a PhilHealth number. And in 2023, PhilHealth had one of the biggest data breaches in the country, which makes it a really good example when we're talking about data privacy, governance, and especially data visualization. So alright, let's break down kung ano talaga yung nangyari step by step para clear talaga. Dahil alam ko na all of you are very curious about this. So noong September 2023, na-attack yung system ng PhilHealth by a ransomware group. Basically, ransomware is when hackers break into a system, tapos either ilalock nila yung files or kukunin muna yung data, and then hihingi sila ng pera kapalit nun. In this case, yung group na tinatawag na Medusa, sinabi nila na nakapasok sila sa internal systems ng PhilHealth. Hindi lang siya simpleng system shutdown. Ang claim nila is nakopya at nakuha nila yung data bago nila i-lock yung system. And yung data na sinasabi nila nakuha, it's actually super sensitive. Dahil kasama dito yung full names, birth dates, home addresses, PhilHealth ID numbers, at sa ibang cases may health-related or contribution info pa. So isipin mo yun for a second, hindi lang ito basta email or password. This is the kind of data na pwedeng gamitin for identity theft, scams, or fraud. Nakakatakot, di ba?
Oo, Arita Lib, kadlok po na uy, kay makuha imong full name, birth date, home address, o unsa pa ganito, PhilHealth ID numbers. So,
Yes.
Arita Lib, unsa nahitabo ato after?
So after the attack, nag-decide yung PhilHealth na hindi bayaran yung ransom, which honestly is usually the right call, di ba? Kasi yun nga, yung nakikita natin sa TV, yung nangihingi ng ransom sa mga kidnapper, hindi naman nagbibigay ng pera. Kasi paying doesn't guarantee na safe na yung data. Pero dahil hindi sila nagbayad, tinuloy ng hackers yung threat nila. They leak parts of the data online, even on dark web sites. Because of that, napilitan yung PhilHealth na i-shutdown muna yung ibang systems nila. So naapektuhan yung online services, and maraming members yung nahirapan mag-access ng records or benefits nila. Now, here's where it got even more stressful for people. Hindi agad naging malinaw kung ilang tao yung affected, anong exact date yung na-leak, at kung ano ba dapat gawin ng members next. Instead, paisa-isa yung lumabas na information from statements, interviews, and news reports. So, naturally, nagkaroon ng confusion at panic. People were asking, kasama ba ako? Kailangan ko bang mag-ingat sa scams? Compromise na ba yung identity ko? Eventually, pumasok na yung National Privacy Commission doon, and they confirmed na the breach involved personal and sensitive personal information, which is a big deal under the Data Privacy Act of 2012.
Damn, what the bro? That's so crazy. Like, given that now that we know what happened, it's better to talk about why this became a huge data privacy and governance problem. Kasi hindi lang naman ito simpleng pang-hack lang na pangyayari. At we have here LSC, ang ating fact-checker, para himay-himayin para sa atin ang totoong sitwasyon.
Una sa lahat, PhilHealth handles extremely sensitive data. This includes health information, personal details, and identifiers ng millions of Filipinos. Under the Data Privacy Act, this kind of data requires higher level protection, meaning dapat may strong security measures, limited access to systems, regular monitoring, at clear incident response plans. Pero based sa nangyari, mukhang may mga gaps. One major issue was monitoring. Ideally, kapag may unusual activity like big data transfers or suspicious logins, dapat may alert agad. But in this case, it looks like the attackers were able to move around inside the system without being detected right away. That tells us na either kulang yung monitoring tools or hindi actively ginagamit yung data they already had. And this is a governance issue kasi it's not just about having tools. It's about using data properly to protect people. Another big problem was communication. After the breach, maraming tao ang confused. Walang clear picture kung gaano kalala yung damage. Good data governance means transparency, especially when personal data is involved. People have the right to know if their data was affected, what kind of data was exposed, and what steps they should take. But instead of clear explanations, ang daming mixed messages. Some updates were technical, some were vague, and some came out late. So instead of feeling informed, people felt anxious. And then, there's the issue of accountability. When something like this happens, dapat malinaw kung sino yung responsible for data protection, system security, risk assessment, and incident response. But in this case, maraming questions ang naiwan unanswered. Like, were there warnings before the attack? Were systems updated regularly? Was there a clear data governance framework in the first place? So ngayon, punta na tayo sa part na medyo underrated pero sobrang importante. Data visualization. Madalas kapag sinasabing data visualization, iniisip natin na charts lang yan or pang PowerPoint lang. Pero sa totoo lang, kung maayos lang sana ang visualization, baka hindi umabot sa ganito kalala yung nangyari. Unahin natin yung inside the organization. Imagine mo na lang yung system ng PhilHealth na parang isang malaking bahay. Kung may pumasok na magnanakaw pero wala kang CCTV, malalaman mo na lang na may nangyari kapag wala na yung gamit mo. Ganon din sa data. Kung may dashboard ka na nagpapakita ng activity kung sino ang nagla-login, ilang files na nakuha, kailan at gaano kadalas, parang may CCTV ka sa data mo. Pero kung walang malinaw na visualization, kailangan mo pang maghukay ng logs, magbasa ng code, and by the time tapos na yung damage. Another thing, hindi lahat ng decision makers technical. Hindi lahat maintindihan yung raw numbers or technical alerts. Pero kapag pinakita mo sa kanila yung dashboard na nagsabing normal activity ganito, current activity biglang ganito, mas madali silang nakakapag-decide kung kailan na bang i-shutdown yung system or mag-invest sa security. So in short, data visualization is parang translator. Ginagawa niyang understandable yung data para sa mga taong kailangan magdesisyon. Ngayon, pumunta naman tayo sa public side. Dito talaga nagkulang. After ng breach, karamihan ng info galing sa mahahabang statements. Let's be honest, Kapag mahaba, minsan hindi binabasa. Pero isipin mo kung ganito yung ginawa. Isang infographic na nagsasabing ito yung data na na-leak, ito yung naapektuhan, ito yung dapat mong gawin. Mas malinaw, mas mabilis, mas konti ang panic. Kasi kapag walang malinaw na info, ang mangyayari, chismis, fake news, at kung ano-anong haka-haka sa social media. At the end of the day, data visualization helps build tiwala. Kapag pinapakita mo yung data ng malinaw, parang sinasabi mo sa publiko na ito yung nangyari, ito yung ginagawa namin, at ito yung susunod. Hindi ito binubura yung problema, pero pinapakita nito na responsable ka sa data ng tao.
So ayun, after lahat na nangyari, yung breach, yung paiba-ibang statements, at yung delayed clarity, parang may isang tanong na naiwan. Kung ganito ka-sensitive yung data, bakit parang huli na lang natin nalaman yung totoong situation?
Diba? Kasi parang ang dating is, okay naman yan under control. Pero habang tumatagal, mas dumadami yung details na lumalabas.
And medyo sketchy talaga siya, not gonna lie. Kasi kung clear naman talaga from the start, bakit parang ang daming kailangan i-clarify later?
Exactly. Hindi naman siguro kasalanan ng public kung magtanong, di ba? Lalo na kung data natin mismo yung involved.
Correct. Tapos mapapansin mo rin mas mabilis pa minsan yung memes kaysa sa official explanation.
Which says a lot, like, honestly.
Kasi kapag kulang yung linaw, may mag-feel talaga ng gap. Either speculation, memes, or worst case misinformation. And let's be real, hindi naman optional ang PhilHealth. Hindi ka pwedeng magsabi ng pass muna ako sa data collection.
So parang sinasabi mo ba na dapat higher trust, higher responsibility din?
Exactly. And this is where data visualization could have helped. Hindi para mag-impress, kundi para maging transparent. Isang malinaw na visual sana, ito ang naapektuhan, ito ang hindi, ito ang ginagawa namin ngayon.
Pero instead, parang ang nangyari, trust us na lang muna.
Which is medyo mahirap ibigay, lalo na pagkatapos ng breach.
So ang lesson dito para sa institutions ay kapag hawak niyo yung data ng tao, hindi sapat ng assurance. Kailangan may pinapakita.
Kasi sa panahon ngayon, maniwala ka is not the same as ito ang ebidensya, right?
And hanggang hindi malinaw yung data, hindi rin mawawala yung duda.
So yeah, that's why the PhilHealth data breach is more than just a cybersecurity issue. It's a reminder that transparency is part of data privacy and data visualization is part of accountability. Kasi sa huli, kapag gobyerno ang may hawak ng data mo, may karapatan kang hindi lang magtiwala, kundi makakita.
Bro, korikong ka dyan.
Tama naman talaga. At kung ayaw nilang magka-memes, syempre, linawin mo na lang yung data.
Tumpak. At nandito si Kesyong para mag-refract. Ay, charot. Reflect pala for us.
You know, listening to all of this, one thing really stands out. Visuals don't just show data. They shape how we think. Minsan, akala natin objective tayo, pero isang chart lang, may bias na agad. Not because we're careless, but because our brains are wired to trust what looks clear and confident. That's why responsibility matters. Every design choice is a decision about truth. And as future data professionals, we don't just ask, does this look good? We ask, is this honest?
Grabe. Grabe naman talaga ang point of reflection ni Kesyong, no? Well, I agree that visuals don't just show data. They shape how we think.
Mo-agree ko na partner, no? Daghan kay kag natun-an hilabi na sa data visualization. So okay mga hubaderas, bago ta magpaalam, hubarin muna natin yung pinaka-importante. Ano ngayon ang partner?
Na hindi neutral ang visuals. Kahit sabihin pang chart lang yan, every graph, every kulay, and every linya may sinasabi at minsan may tinatago.
Partner, correct kayo ka din ha. Mula sa global case ng Florida gun deaths hanggang sa PhilHealth data breach dito sa Pilipinas, iisa lang ang naging resulta.
Na kapag malabo ang data, ang interpretasyon ang nagiging wild.
Rar. Correct. At ang hashtag of the day natin ay hashtag hubad ng katotohanan. Kasi ang data hindi pang beauty pageant, pang intindihan, hindi pang budol. So kung may nakikita kayong graph, infographic, o dashboard na napasabi kayo ng, wait, parang may daya to ah.
Isend niyo agad sa amin. Promise, huhubaran namin yan sa next episode. May tanong, may topic idea, may rant about pie charts, we want to hear it. Dahil ang podcast na to, hindi lang kami ang nagsasalita, kayo rin ang nag-iisip.
At syempre, salamat sa inyo mga hubad listeners sa pakikinig, sa pagdududa with us. Syempre, in a healthy way. At sa hindi basta-basta pagpapadala sa magagandang graphs.
Sa panahon ng data at AI, hindi sapat na tumatanggap ka lang ng impormasyon. Kailangan marunong ka rin magtanong. Mga kahubaderas, ito ang
Your data sounds familiar.
na kung saan ang katotohanan ay lantad.
Walang filter, diretso agad.
Sagad na sagad.